Hey there, I'm Dave. Usually I am seaside, which is why we call them seaside chats. This is Dave's Riverside chat, partly because the weather in the last few days before filming this, when I've been near the ocean, near the sea, has been pretty brutal. It's been raining, windy, a lot of waves. Can't really do much about that. Today's a beautiful day, and it happens to be the day that I got out on the river. Look at that reel, isn't that nice? It's a Grateful Dead fishing reel. Out on a river fishing for chum and coho salmon. An eagle just flew by. It's a beautiful day. It's about 9:30 in the morning, and I've been out since about 6. The sun looks good. It's nice and misty out. It's really good. So we're here to talk about Dave's Picks 28. You probably know by now what it is. This is the final Dave's Picks of the year of 2018, and it is from June 17th, 1976, Capitol Theater in Passaic, New Jersey, from the comeback tour in 1976. A tremendous show. Really, I love this whole tour. I've never heard a bad show from the tour, but it's really, sorry, there's a lot of activity and there's a lot of bears around, which is why if I look like I'm looking over your shoulder, it's because I'm looking for bears. If you see any behind me, please let me know, because they kind of look around for the salmon coming up. So Dave's Picks 28. We haven't done one from this tour in the Dave's Picks series. We did one from the fall tour in 1976, but we haven't done one of the June tours. Now, as you probably know, or you might not, 1975, the Grateful Dead took it as pretty much a hiatus. I mean, it wasn't a complete hiatus. They recorded Blues for Allah. They did 4 shows in San Francisco, but really it was a year off for the Grateful Dead. Jerry was busy working on the Grateful Dead movie. He was out with the Legion of Mary in 1975, the Jerry Garcia Band in 76. Bobby was doing Kingfish. Keith and Donna had the Keith and Donna Band. Billy was playing in the Keith and Donna Band, sometimes the Jerry Band. Keith and Donna were playing in the Jerry Band. So it was a busy time for the Dead, but it wasn't necessarily a time for a lot of Grateful Dead activity. So then in June of 1976, they finally come back, and instead of playing the big stadiums and arenas they'd been playing in 1974 with the Wall of Sound, they came back with a much smaller sound system, not the Wall of Sound, and they played that first tour exclusively in theaters. They started June 3rd and 4th in Portland, Oregon. Then they headed east for the 4 shows in Boston, 2 at the Beacon Theater, 3 at the Capitol Theater in Passaic. Geese. 4 in Philadelphia, and then 3 in Chicago. 4 in Chicago to wrap things up. Some loud geese, right? A couple more coming. Sorry, there are bears around here, quite a few. There's been a lot around today even. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on things. What a way to go, right? Doing a Dave's Picks video. And then they did the 6 shows in San Francisco at the Orpheum Theater. So with that, they come along with a lot of new things. Mickey was back in the band full time, so Mickey and Billy now were the Rhythm Devils back together, playing together. A whole new dynamic of the Grateful Dead sound, and a lot of new songs. Both new things for the Grateful Dead, like Might As Well and Samson and Delilah, and then a lot of older songs were brought back, like They Love Each Other and Dancing in the Street in different arrangements. And then Lazy Light and Supplication came in here. The Wheel, which was an older Jerry song, it was finally played by the Grateful Dead on this tour. So there's a lot of music, a lot of songs like Saint Stephen, Cosmic Charlie, things like that. And with that, the Grateful Dead show up in New Jersey playing the Capitol Theater here for the first time. Capitol Theater in Port Chester, a 3-night run. Now in my tape trading days, I was a big fan of the June 19th show. The final night, it was an FM broadcast, so we all had tapes of that. But then when I started working for the Dead, I got into the 17th and 18th, the 2 first nights. And the 18th, we released as a download many years ago when we did the download series about almost 15 years ago, 2003, 2004, I think. More geese. And so we released the 18th, which was very, very nearly the 17th, but we went with the 18th instead. So now, finally, as we got to the end of 2018 and we were coming up with ideas for our pick for number 28, we decided to do something from the June of 1976 tour. And this show is tremendous. This show is so much good music. We're going to play you some stuff on the listening party, and we're also going to play you some of it on Sirius XM. So if you have Sirius XM, you'll hear about an hour and a half long special we're going to do there with a bunch of music. But the pick itself is really, really great. If you subscribe to Dave's Picks 2018, don't worry, you'll get it. If you didn't and you want this one, I would suggest putting this video on pause and then going to check it out, because it's going to sell out pretty soon. They've been selling it in less than a day or two, I think. So do get on that if you're interested in it. Like I say, if you subscribed, you're cool. And even if you didn't subscribe, you're cool, but you still have to buy the pick. The first set is very typical of 1976 Summer Tour first sets. Cold Rain and Snow opener, one of my favorite songs from 1976. Did you see that salmon jump? Huge salmon jump. They're big here. They're about 15 pounds. They're really wonderful. So when I'm hearing noises, I'm checking to see if they're bears. If I look flinchy, I'm usually not this flinchy. And so Cold Rain and Snow opener, and then it's got a lot of the regular songs for 1976 Grateful Dead first sets. Cassidy with a really interesting ending. I do recommend that you check out the ending of Cassidy from this show. Very unique, especially if you know later 76, 77, 78 onward. Cassidy is a really cool ending. They only did it a few times and was on this tour. So check out the Cassidy ending. It's really wonderful. Big River, Row Jimmy. There's a really great trio of songs that ends the first set. The Music Never Stopped, and it's Blues for Allah arrangement where Donna and Bobby are kind of sharing the vocal duties. Beautiful Music Never Stopped. About a 10-minute long Scarlet Begonias with that nice jam that was kind of coming into form in later 1974, really from about July, August onward, right through the October shows in 74, that nice jam out of Scarlet Begonias that only about 9 months later it would be joined, that jam would just continue into Fire on the Mountain pretty much always until 1995. Not always, but a lot. And the Great Promised Land. And now the second set is where it's at. I love the June 76 second sets. They're really creative, inventive, high energy. And this one, it opens up with Help Slip Franklin's, and it's a good one. The Help on the Way is really great. The Franklin's is tremendous. The jam joining them, Slipknot, is one of my favorite from 1976. If not my favorite, it soars. And then the way they come back in and go into the building, ascending jam that goes into Franklin's, it's wonderful. And then Franklin's, then, you know, we had a couple Jerry tunes, Help on the Way and Franklin's Tower, he sung those two. Bobby then sings two. Dancing in the Street in its new arrangement, the disco dancing as they call it. Really great jam coming out of it, plus that amazing jam at the end into Samson and Delilah, which was played at pretty much every show in 1976. And so you get this wonderful Samson and Delilah, and then a bunch of kind of shorter songs. It doesn't have a massive jam right there, but we've already just had almost 40 minutes with the Help Slip Franklin's, Dance and Samson. Then we get Friend of the Devil, Lazy Lightning Supplication. One of my favorite Ship of Fools I've ever heard. High energy Ship of Fools, and you're going to hear Jerry really emoting. He's really into the Ship of Fools. It's one, like I say, it's one of my favorites that I've ever heard. And I love Ship of Fools when it's good. When it's not, it can kind of drag a little bit, but usually, thankfully, it's good. There's a great Ship of Fools. And then I said Lazy Lightning. What else? Oh, and then we get this great, another jam to close the set. Let It Grow with that really tight drum break in the middle of Let It Grow. Definitely, I think, a rehearsed moment. Like, they rehearsed a lot before they hit the road again, partly because they hadn't been on the road for a couple of years, and also Mickey was back in the band with all this new material also. So there was a lot of rehearsal, I think, in May of 1976 before they hit the road and hit those Portland shows. And then after that, Let It Grow goes into Wharf Rat, which is interesting because about 8 months later, 10 months later, the Dead played at the Capitol Theater in Passaic, and they opened a 3-night run again on April 25th, 26th, 27th of 1977. So they opened it up with yet another, I didn't open it, but the opening night they did another wonderful version of Wharf Rat. And that's what we get here after Let It Grow. Tremendous version of Wharf Rat. And then Around and Around. And this is the new version of Around and Around with the big jam at the end. Again, another song that they brought back from 1972, 73, 74, but they brought it back in a new arrangement with this big jam that built up at the end. And that's how they end the show, with Around and Around. No encore this night, which is a bit of a rarity. A couple bonus songs on this one. You'll hear those when you get the pick. A couple of my favorite Garcia Hunter songs. You'll see about those. High Time Sugaree from other shows on this tour that we didn't have in complete form, so we figured we would put them on here. Kind of bonus tracks, filler, whatever you want to call it. Again, I am going to go because, again, I am I'm not nervous. I've been out here a lot. I've been here for hours. But there are a lot of bears out today. So I'm gonna wrap it up and keep my eyes open and focus on being safe while I fish. Look at that reel, isn't that great? It's been a good day fishing, by the way. Great day fishing. So Dave's Picks 28. Go to dead.net. We are just putting the finishing touches on Dave's Picks 29, which I think we'll have some news about that sometime soon, and the Dave's Picks 2019 subscriptions. We'll have news on that in a little bit. So stay tuned on dead.net. Check your emails or your Facebook. And I want to thank you as we wrap up 2018. We had a good year. We had the 4 Dave's Picks, all really good, I think. Really, really wonderful stuff. I really liked the variety this year, and we hit the 80s. We hit 1983 with the Boise show, which I love, great show, and we also had the Pacific Northwest box set. I'm filming this in the Pacific Northwest up in British Columbia, so yeah, hope you're gonna like, I think you're gonna like this one, and again, I really do thank you for the support and keeping your interest in the Dave's Picks. We keep trying to make them as interesting as the last one. And you know, Jeffrey Norman still calls me all the time. He's like, oh, this is a great show and it sounds amazing. And this one does sound amazing. By the way, it was recorded by Betty Cantor Jackson and sounds as good as any of the shows you've ever heard from this tour, including the Beacons and the Boston shows and the Chicagos and all that stuff. Really great stuff. So thank you for joining us. Sorry it's not a seaside chat, it is a waterside chat near the river. I'm gonna go because I just want to make sure that I don't get chased down by a bear. So thank you for watching, and again, we'll see you here pretty soon actually with some news on the, I guess, the Dave's Picks 2019 subscriptions, which will be sooner than later, so keep an eye on that. Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to do this.